When it comes to John Mayer's gear, quite often we are discussing things that are rather rare and expensive, or at least just expensive in some cases. And naturally, the kind of question and topic I see a lot is, well, how do you approximate John Mayer's tone or get closer to John Mayer's tone on a more affordable level in the comments and in my Instagram DMs and in things like that? So for today's video, I thought it'd be really cool to discuss what really seems to be John Mayer's Tubescreamer clone of choice when he's not using a vintage TS808, a TS10, or more kind of crazier, harder to obtain pedals like those, and he's using something that's a lot more affordable and something that still sounds really great as you're going to listen to. Now, John Mayer hasn't used a lot of Tubescreamers, but when it comes to substituting out that TS10 for something else, especially on kind of a fly pedal board or a smaller travel pedal board that he seems to bring to smaller shows or guest appearances, the JHS Bonsai is clearly the one that he seems to be favoring. There was this really awesome post John made to his Instagram story where he said every household should have one, holding the JHS Bonsai. And the best part about this shot, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen, is that the actual knob which dictates which TS circuit you're actually using in the Bonsai is turned to the TS10, of course, that being the quintessential John Mayer TS pedal. And I do have some examples of John using the JHS Bonsai that we are going to take a listen to. The first being on May 17th of 2018, where he performed Where Were You in the Morning with Shawn Mendes. John had just a ultra small pedal board with just a couple of pedals on it, but his overdrive pedal that you are hearing, and the only overdrive pedal that he was using, is of course the JHS Bonsai. I absolutely love the guitar tone that John was getting for that performance. I think it's pretty underrated actually in terms of some of the performances and tones John was doing kind of in the more modern era. And that was just the JHS pedals Bonsai. There were no other boost pedals, no other overdrive pedals, nothing, just the Bonsai giving John that tone. John's always going to sound fantastic, but that pedal truly sounds amazing from that footage. And then just a few months later, on the third Current Mood episode ever, John would host Cassie David and Cautious Clay in the studio, and while in the performance that you're going to listen to, John wasn't using the Bonsai. The tone, first off, is way too clean for it to have been a Bonsai or a Tubescreamer doing that sort of tone, and then two, you get a good look at the board and you can actually see the Bonsai is off for at least part of it, but I'm just assuming it's been that way the whole time. But the point is that on the little kind of board that John was experimenting with at the time, he did have the Bonsai on it. So we'll take a listen to some of the footage anyway because it's just fun to do that. And then I'll discuss the board a little bit that John was actually using here because there's something kind of interesting with one of the pedals that I just don't really understand what it is, to be honest.
Welcome to the days of the broken shallow. Oh, but if we just spoke like we meant it, would you reference this open part of me?
So on the board there from the screenshots that I've grabbed, one is from the actual just regular current mood stream. The other one is from just the Pro Shot version of the performance, because they did have that Pro Shot camera going while current mood was also being filmed. It's kind of a little inception they were going on there, and I really miss current mood. I wish John would bring it back. It was so much fun when he was doing these. But anyways, the pedal board, you can obviously tell the very first pedal is the JHS Pedals Bonsai. The third pedal is the Earthquaker Devices Avalanche Run. The pedal in the middle, I have no idea what it is. I thought it might be something else from Earthquaker Devices, but nothing I've been able to look up and find kind of matches the graphics. When I'd only ever seen the version from just the current mood stream, at first I thought maybe it was the Mythos Runestone, kind of their Blues Breaker clone pedal, but it's definitely not that. So I have no idea what this pedal in the middle is. And if you guys have any idea, let me know in the comments down below, because it's honestly something that's been bugging me for a very long time, and I haven't been able to figure it out. And it's one of those things. I got a little twitch or a little itch in my brain when it's like, there's a pedal on John's board, and I don't know what it is. It just fucks me. So if anyone has any idea, I would love to actually be able to figure out what John had on this pedal board. Didn't look like he was using anything from this performance. The LED on the Avalanche Run as well, that's the tap tempo side, not the activate side. So I don't think John was using any of the actual pedals on the board, but he had them in there for whatever he was kind of doing and messing around with in the studio. So just kind of cool to see regardless, and worthwhile kind of discussing this other appearance of the Bonsai on one of John's boards anyways, because he definitely was using it, just not for this performance. Moving on to our next example, and it's a very recent example actually of John using the Bonsai live, and for a while it really seemed like the Bonsai was something that John used a little bit in 2018, kind of was experimenting with it and just enjoying it, and then it kind of went into his pedal vault not to be seen again, because even during the Sobrock era, for example, when it comes to Tubescreamers at least, John on his B-Rig pedal board, which was just his essentials when he would join like Alexander 23 for Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Bob Weir for some kind of guest appearances and shows, just a smaller pedal board that had just everything he needs, his basics. He just had another TS10 on it, and he actually had a Klon Centaur clone on that pedal board, but he just was using another TS10. So it kind of seemed like a Tubescreamer clone was pretty much off the table in terms of seeing really ever again from John. But this year, we actually got him using the Bonsai again. On June 24th of 2024, John would join Zach Bryan for a live version of Better Days, and on this, again, very small kind of fly pedal board that's just the Ultra Mayor Basics, we see the JHS Bonsai on there, which, as you're going to hear, sounds pretty great. So when it comes to trying to approximate John's tone on a more affordable level, the JHS Pedals Bonsai is a pedal that I actually think gets overlooked a decent bit, actually, maybe because it's a pedal that does a bunch of different Tubescreamer modes, people overlook it, but I also feel like a lot of times, you kind of see a lot of people trying to go as kind of boutique-y in terms of the path they go down as possible, or kind of trying to get the most high-end option, where I feel like sometimes if you're trying to build a Mayor rig kind of a bit more affordably, the money would be better spent into getting a better amplifier than getting a really nice Tubescreamer and then just a, amplifier that can't really do as well the nuances of, the difference between these little components and maybe different Tubescreamer clones are doing, or whatever. You guys, I'm sure, are getting what I'm trying to say. But the Bonsai is one that John has used live, sounds absolutely fantastic, and John can make anything sound fantastic. I'm not saying, the pedal's making him sound like that, but it obviously does the TS10 thing very well, and if it didn't, I can guarantee you that John wouldn't use it in this scenario. He has enough TS10s, vintage 808s in storage. He could easily put one of those pedals on a board instead, but the fact that he's purposefully chosen to use the Bonsai 2018 and now again in 2024 goes to show how great that pedal sounds. And obviously Josh, I think, is a genius, and he just makes these amazing pedals, and especially these pedals where you have multiple different kinds of the same sort of circuit in them, like the Pack Rat, the Muffletta, and now, you know, the Bonsai as well. Kind of that line of pedals, I think, are just some of the most genius designs really that's out there today, because they're so cool. I think of like Chris Shiflett with the Foo Fighters using the Muffletta as well, and then the Pack Rat was just incredible too. They're really fantastic pedals is the point I'm trying to make. And if you're looking for a pedal that does the TS10 kind of John Mayer overdrive lead sort of thing, I think it's a pedal that you really should consider. I'm not sponsored by JHS Pedals. Josh didn't pay me to say any of this. You know, I just throwing that out there because I'm, you know, talking about his pedals and stuff. But I thought this would be a great video to actually discuss the Tubescreamer clone that John's used. And this is the only one that I've ever seen him use in terms of a Tubescreamer clone. Every other time it's been some sort of Ibanez pedal, whether it's a Ibanez, like a TS808 that's been Keeley modded, a more modern version to kind of be more like the vintage thing, an analog man modded one as well, something like that. But it's always been, you know, more of an actual Tubescreamer sort of thing rather than a kind of what you think of a more traditional clone, so to speak. So hope you guys kind of got some useful information maybe out of this video and gave you something to think about if you're looking to building a John Mayer pedal board or something like that, or if you were maybe on the fence about the JHS Pedals Bonsai, go and try it out at least. Bring it home and see how it plays with your rig, and then if you don't like it, well then just take it back. But maybe something to consider, and just fun to talk about gear that's a lot more affordable for a change on the channel than Klon Centaurs, P. Cornish TESs, Dumbles, vintage Strats, and Two Rocks, and all that sort of thing. So it's nice to change it up a little bit and discuss something that's a bit more affordable for you guys and document that as well on the channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.